friends, welcome to my cricket dreams. In this video, I plan to say today's cricket news. Here we can look at the 1987 World Cup. The fourth edition of the Cricket World Cup in 1987, also known as the Reliance Cup, was the first World Cup to be played outside England. Defending champs India and Pakistan were joint hosts of the tournament that got underway on the 8th of October and ended exactly a month later on 8th November. India, Australia, New Zealand and Zimbabwe were put on Group A, while Pakistan, England, West Indies and Sri Lanka made up to the Group B. Each team had to play the others in the group twice, with the top two teams in each group playing to the semi-finals. Unlike the previous editions of the World Cup, the number of overs per innings was brought down to 50 overs instead of 60. India had followed up their victory in the 1983 World Cup with a triumph in the Benson and Hedges World Championship of Cricket in 1985. With the tournament being played at their own backyard, India were hot favourites of lifting the trophy again. Pakistan too had a good team and fancied their chances at home. Both the host nations made it to the semi-finals, but the journey ended there as India lost out to England, whereas Pakistan couldn't overcome the mighty Australians. Australia went on to defeat their old rivals in the final at Eden Gardens in Kolkata to lift their first ever World Cup against England. Proceedings got underway in a Group A match with a couple of nail-biting encounters. Geoff Marsh's century propelled the Australians to 270 against India. A 4-wicket haul from Craig McMahon secured the narrowest of victories by just one run for Australia, despite a couple of fighting 70s from Navjot Singh Sandhu and Krishnamachari Srikanth. Elsewhere, a valiant 142 by Dave Hongod was not even good enough to take Zimbabwe past the target set by New Zealand. The Kiwis scrapped home by just 3 runs. Australia consolidated their position at the top of Group A with a comfortable victory over the Zimbabweans. India managed to get their act back on track against Kiwis to register their first victory of the tournament, courtesy of half-centuries from Sidhu and Kapil Dev. India notched up another comfortable victory against the mighty Zimbabweans while Dave Boone's knock of 87 enabled the Aussies to clinch a tight match against New Zealand by just 3 runs. 4 half-centuries from the top and the middle order helped India avenge their loss to Australia in the opening match. The Kiwis, powered by skipper Geoff Crowe, unbeaten 88, recorded a second victory against Zimbabwe. India registered a semi-final spot with a victory over Zimbabwe, whereas Geoff Marsh's second century of the tournament took Australia past New Zealand and into the semis. The Australia won their last league match against Zimbabwe too. In India's last league match, history was made as Chetan Sharma got the first hat-trick in a World Cup. Sunil Gavaskar followed it up with his first ever ODI century to take India in the top of Group A. Thus, the men in blue went on to the semis as the group toppers, where they were joined by the mighty Australians. In Group B, Pakistan got off to a winning start against Sri Lanka on the back of a century from none other Javed Minath. Alan Lamb helped England to pull off a close victory against West Indies to get their campaign underway as well. A wonderful spell of leg spin from Abdul Qadir was enough to take Pakistan past England. Meanwhile, West Indies demolished Sri Lanka by a massive 191 runs in the second match. The two brilliant batsmen, Desmond Haynes, scored a century at the top of the order, but it was none other than the West Indies basher V.V. Richards who tore into the bowling attack with a 125 ball 181 that took West Indies to an almost unchaseable 360. Pakistan kept up the momentum with a last ball victory over West Indies, while England held on to a second spot with a comfortable victory over Lankans, courtesy of a solid batting performance. Ravi's Raja's century gave Pakistan their 4th victory on the trot, this time over England. West Indies got back into the mix with a 24-run win over Sri Lanka. However, a loss to England in the following match brought down the curtains on the semi-final hopes. The Englishmen entered the group stage on a high with another impressive all-round performances against the Lankans. West Indies, powered by Richie Richardson's century, dealt Pakistan their first defeat of the tournament thus far in the final group stage match. Despite that, Pakistan had already qualified for the semi-finals as a group winner, with England joining them as the second team and England joined them as the second team from Group B. And also, the first semi-final at Lahore was a big disappointment for the home fans. Decent contributions from the top 6 batsmen for Australia, including a brilliant match-winning knock of David Bourne 65, took Australia to the competitive total of 270. Imran Khan led way with the ball with figures of 3 for 36. Pakistan's chase was propelled by a 112-run third wicket stand between Imran Khan's 58 and Minan's 70. But the remaining lineup couldn't carry forward the baton and the co-hosts eventually fell short by 21 runs. McDermott was the wrecker-in-chief as well, with a 5-wicket haul to his credit. The outcome of the second semi-final at Mumbai was almost similar to was the co-hosts. India ended up on the losing side against the mighty England. Graham Gooch's steady knock of 115 took England to a challenging 254. Bearing Mohammad Azharuddin 64, none of the Indian batsmen could convert their starts into substantial knocks. Eddie Hemmings and Neil Foster did well with the ball, picking up wickets at regular intervals to bowl India out for a narrow 219, 35 runs short of the target. Both England and Australia had lost the World Cup final each, and now it was the turn for one of them to clinch a maiden World Cup title. The final at Eden Gardens in Kolkata was a cracking match between fierce cricket rivals England and Australia. David Bourne held things together for the mighty Australians at the top as they made a steady progress. Things were going well at 151 for 1 when a disaster struck. 3 wickets fell in space of 17 overs, including the set batsman Bourne for 75, and England were back in the contest. That's when Mike Veleta and Alan Border came together and the duo put to a quick-firing 73-run stand that tilted the balance towards Australia, and they came back to the track. Veleta chipped in with an invaluable 31 ball of 45, set 254 to win. England lost Tim Robinson early, but Gooch after the middle order got things back on track. Bill Attie and Mike Gatting seemed to be cruising as England seemed to be approaching victory with ease. That's when Gatting, 41, decided to commit one of the greatest blunders in cricket history. He tries to reverse sweep Border only to get the top edge that was snapped up by the keeper, Greg Dyer. Attie too ran himself out after his half-century. Alan Lamb kept on fighting. He got good company from Phil Defray, who struck a couple of heady blows to bring the equation down 19 of the last 2 overs. Steve Waugh took the ball in the 49th over and he bowled a gem of an over, getting the wicket of Defray and conceding just 2 runs. 17 runs of McNamar's final over was too big an ask, and England finally fell short by 10 runs. Thus, Australia's unexpected triumph was a big achievement for the nation that has been struggling in the recent past. The victory was probably the first major event that led to the development of the Aussies as the top-most cricketing nation in the world. Bourne was awarded the man of the match in the final for his brilliant 75, whereas Graham Gooch was the highest run getter and whereas McDermott topped the wicket takers list. Quite a few records too were set in the tournament. Chetan Sharma became the first man to take a hat-trick in a World Cup match. Sir P.V. Richards' 181 was the highest individual score by a World Cup at that time. The World Cup in a subcontinent drew a lot of people closer to the game. The semi-finals were followed by a large selection people throughout the region. The work done by organizing committee was worth appreciating. The weather too played its part and rain stayed away from all but one game. The decision to hold the tournament outside England did achieve the objective of increasing the game's popularity in the subcontinent. It was now the turn of Australia and New Zealand to host the 5th World Cup trophy as well. Thank you friends for watching my channel. Kindly like, subscribe and comment. And for more such notifications of the world cricket, kindly subscribe channel and also kindly like, share and comment the video. Thank you.